Hare Mother Jahnava Devi Dasi ki.
Hare Krishna. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to this special occasion. Tonight we celebrate the life of Jahnava Devi Dasi, affectionately known to many of us as Mother Jahnava, to some as Mother Janice. I'd like to extend a special welcome to Mother Jahnava's sister Gloria and her brother-in-law Mitch, who are here with us tonight. This temple was Mother Jahnava's home, and what that means is that it's your home as well. So please feel very welcome here. At any point during this ceremony, if you need anything, some water, fresh air, a restroom, please look to your right or to your left. We're here to help you. We're here to serve you. We have a saying here at the temple. It's, I am your humble servant. So that's the mood we like to bring across. That was the mood.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. That was our hospitality just came through right from the door. And we carry that through celebrating this night with her and forward. The schedule for tonight, we're going to start off with a talk on the Bhagavad Gita by Vishnu Prabhu. It'll be followed by remembrances and appreciations of Mother Jahnava by her closest friends. And the night will be capped off by some of Mother Jahnava's favorite prasadam preparations. So it's a surprise what it is, but yeah, I'm sure you're in for a great treat. Before we begin, it's going to be an emotional night for many of us. We're going to laugh, probably do some crying, we'll be grieving. But most of all, we're going to fill our hearts with the joy that this special soul shared with us. So with that, Vishnu Gadaprabhu is going to give us an address on the Bhagavad Gita. We did come prepared with some tissues. If you look on the radiator covers, there are some tissues, so anybody who needs them, they're right behind you.
As many of you probably participated, Mother Jahnava was happy to do a recitation of Bhagavad Gita every morning for many years. Did you participate sometimes? Yeah, many participated. In the Vedic literature, there's different literature. The Bhagavad Gita is the ABCs. So if we can understand that we got to have the grounding in those things, and then after Bhagavad Gita, then you can understand Srimad Bhagavatam, which are the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His different incarnations and His interactions with His devotees. And then the postgraduate study is Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the activities of Lord Chaitanya, who is the incarnation of Krishna for this age. So anyway, it starts with Bhagavad Gita, and we all need to really focus and understand Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to read one verse that's pertinent to this purport. We won't talk very long, because I hear that many people are wanted to say and give their remembrances of Mother Jahnava. So I picked a short verse here. You might know the Sanskrit, but we'll chant it responsibly. Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. Translation: and whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental abode of the Supreme Lord. The word smaran, remembering, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. To remember Krishna, one should chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Incessantly, following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, being more tolerant than the tree, humbler than the grass, and offering all respect to others without requiring respect in return. In such a way, one will be able to depart from the body successfully remembering Krishna and so attain the supreme goal. Om Jnanati Virandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumrita. So this verse is a very nice verse right off the bat. It differentiates a couple of things if you pick this up. It talks about quitting the body. So what can you gather from that? That you, the consciousness, are different than the body. You can quit the body. This is the Vedic teaching, and this teaching is very profound, but not known by practically anybody in the world. Avinashi tu tad vidhi, yena sarvamidam tatam, vinasham avyayasyasya, na kaschit kartum arhati. That which pervades the whole body is indestructible. This is earlier in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches this. No one can destroy this imperishable soul. So we're used to seeing people as their bodies. This is our first mistake. When someone passes, then we think they're gone. Yes, they are, but the body remains. So that means they're not the body. But in our illusion state, we think we're the body, and therefore there's so many duties that we have in order to maintain the body, or the family, or the country, the nation, be patriotic, etc. But all those things don't really have much to do with the soul. So this is really the first understanding. Just like even when it's cloudy, you know the sun is in the sky. How is that? How do you know the sun is in the sky if it's cloudy and it's daytime? It's light outside, right. You can't see the sun, but you know it's present because of sunlight. It's light. Similarly, even though you may not be able to see the soul, you can understand its presence by consciousness. Very good. Who said that? Very good. Very good. The stone isn't conscious. Water isn't conscious. Air isn't conscious. Clouds aren't conscious. But because the soul is in the body, therefore consciousness is exhibited. And as soon as the soul leaves the body for another destination, then it becomes inert. So just because the soul leaves the body doesn't mean there is another place that the soul is going. If we leave this room, doesn't mean we disappear after we go out the door. Right? We're just in a different location. Similarly, according to Bhagavad Gita, the soul is going from body to body to body in the material world, one after another, according to desire. But the special ability of the human body is to be able to stop this cycle of repeated body after body. How? By becoming Krishna conscious and going back to God. This is our opportunity. In the material world, we are stuck in various bodies because, well, according to your way of thinking, some people will say because of sin, and some people will say because if you're coming from the east, they'll say because of karma. Same idea. Sin or karma, The idea is within the heart, the soul, you are spirit soul, spiritual, pure. But because of association with matter, we've developed these material desires that bind us here to the material world. And that's the first sign of karma, or sin. Just like when you're a kid, I don't know if you remember this, if you try to drink alcohol when you're a kid, what is the kid going to think? Mostly, not all, but mostly, isn't it? Isn't it? But it takes some practice. It takes some practice to get the taste, and then you're with your friends, and they say, come on, you got this, you got to be cool, and stuff like that. So over time, you get a taste for it, and then it's something very exciting. So this is our existence in the material world. We're all spiritual living entities, but because of our association in the material world, we become attached and attracted to desires that are not at all in our best interest. And because of those desires, we go from one body to another. Krishna consciousness is so nice that by becoming Krishna conscious and chanting the holy names, the desire within the heart for those karmic activities becomes reduced to nothing. Now, this is another important point here. It says that at the end of life, if someone remembers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what happens? They go back to God. And then he says something after that. What does Krishna say after that? Of this there is no doubt. Sometimes people say, well, that sounds too simple. That sounds too easy. You know, if that's true, then we should go preach in the hospitals. Right? That should be our activity. Right? But why concentrate on other things? You just go to but it's not so easy to remember Krishna. You know, just like if you had never been a high jumper, then you try to jump 6 feet. You're not going to do it. Right? So similarly, remembering Krishna at the time of death is difficult because there's so many other pushings and disturbances and distractions that are going on at that time. Body, mind, environment. I thought, I took psychology classes. And in psychology, I thought, well, probably at the end of life, when people are, say, in hospice care, when they have maybe 6 months to live or something, that time, I bet it's true that people become more spiritually conscious and more religious. I thought that was true. So I looked through different journals where they examine that stuff, and I found one called the Alpha and Omega Journal. Alpha means beginning. Omega means end. Very good. Greek. Yeah, Alpha and Omega Journal. And in that journal, there was a study where they tracked people who were in hospice care, who had a 6-month prognosis for living, and to see how their interest in spiritual matters developed over the last few months of their life. What do you think I found? They found. It increases. You thought it increased? No. It decreased. It decreased. Not for everybody, but for most people. Why? So this is very interesting. Why did it decrease? Because whenever we're under pressure of some impending death, we gravitate, we think about, we meditate on those things that are going to be the most dear to us. And that depends on your practice previously. It's not going to come like that. For maybe a few people it may. But mostly no. So by practice of Krishna consciousness during life, then at the time of death, one may think of Krishna. And then you might, for sure, if you think of Krishna at the time of death, according to Krishna here says, of this there is no doubt. Of this there is no doubt. You'll go back to Krishna. Now, one thing to know is that Krishna is not, this is not a mechanical thing. You do certain things and then automatically it happens. No. Krishna is a person. And there's reciprocation. God is a person, so there's reciprocation. So if he wants, if he's pleased with you, because everybody is going to go through the same thing Mother Jahnava went through. So she went through it in a very exemplary way, and we can learn from that. If we remember Krishna, If Krishna wants, he can take us back. There's different kinds of siddhi. Siddhi means perfection. Siddhi, one kind of siddhi is called sadhan siddhi. Have you heard of this? Sadhan siddhi means by your regular, dedicated devotional practice, you reach a stage of perfection. Most of us here, we're not going to become sadhan siddhis. I'm sorry. Most people who are going back to Godhead are kripa siddhi. Means they're getting the mercy of Krishna and his devotees, allowing them to go back to Godhead. So this is a very wonderful thing. I don't know that where Mother Jahnava went, but she was in an auspicious condition. She was hearing the holy name, right? So it's very auspicious. When Srila Prabhupada talked about Jayananda was a devotee who, like Mother Jahnava, I don't know if you know this, but here in Philadelphia, in the early days in Philadelphia, we had this Rath Yatra ceremony for, there was a big Rath Yatra ceremony in 1975. Some of you have seen that. You've seen that movie. Yeah. And it went on for some time, but then there was a lapse. So then there was a revival of the Rath Yatra, and you know who was responsible for that revival? What was that? You think so? No, it was Mother Jahnava. It was after a Vyasa Puja celebration, and she was talking with some, I think it was right back here, yeah. There was Hari Ashram there, some other people, and so she says, well, we should really get together and try to do this, something really, really important and valuable, not just for ourselves, but to spread this consciousness of Krishna to the other people in Philadelphia and the area. And so from that effort, it began. And let's face it, the Hare Krishna movement, generally there's a lot of guys who are in charge. Isn't it? Come on, what do the guys do? Right, isn't it? So, a woman who is very assertive and Krishna conscious at the same time, that is a special, wonderful commodity we have in this Krishna consciousness, isn't it? Yes. So that was something special that Mother Jahnava brought for all of us, and we thank her very much today. So, okay, that was my time. Let's go here. There's lots more to say, and I'm sure that you probably would like to say something more. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vishnu. Good afternoon. For sharing that. It's very sweet. At this point, we're going to invite Mother Jahnava. We're going to have many people come up. We're asking to try to keep it to 3 minutes. That may be tough, but the more people we can go, that way more people will be able to share. I have a list. I'll try to inform you when you're about to come up, so it's not a surprise. We have a chair up here. Sit down. The first person I want to bring up is Mother Sangeeta. Mother Sangeeta, very dear friend of Mother Jahnava, her caretaker in her final weeks, final months. She began a program a while back called Vaishnava Care, with the intention of caring for devotees in their final stages. We're very lucky here in Philadelphia to have her, and the rest of the society is very fortunate as well, but specifically because she resides here in Philadelphia, it means a lot to us.
First, I would like to thank Jahnava's sister Gloria and her husband Mitch for graciously allowing us to be a part of Jahnava's final days. I know how private of a time this can be for a family, and we very much appreciate you opening your hearts and making room for so many of us to be a part of your sister's final time on this earth. And we really, really thank you so much for that. When I was trying to remember the first time I met Jahnava, it was really difficult because it seems like I've known her forever. She really became an intimate, close friend, and even when my husband and I moved from here to North Carolina for 2 years, she would call me several times a week to talk about so many things, especially when she was diagnosed with her illness. We had a lot to discuss, and we talked often. We made sure that we never let a week go by without talking, and then all of a sudden this June, my husband was also battling cancer, so Jahnava and I would have our weekly chats, but instead of her telling me about her declining health, which was happening at the same time this summer, she only wanted to hear about what was happening with my husband's health and his surgery, because that was who Jahnava was. She was concerned more for others than for herself. That was her nature. Jahnava was truly one of the most loving, caring people I've ever known. One quality she had that I will always treasure was her ability to feel emotions to the highest degree. When she loved with all her heart. When she was sad and cried to me, she did so with tears that seemed to stem from deep within her soul. But when she laughed, Jahnava's smile could literally light up a room. And I think everybody knows that who knows her. Her laughter was contagious, and I liked that mood about her the most. Her enthusiasm for life and her zest for preaching Krishna consciousness to literally everyone she met, from the bus driver to her hairstylist to the cashier of the supermarket, made doing the most common things with Jahnava turn into an adventure. She proudly introduced me to strangers as, "This is my little friend from the Hare Krishna temple." And I would be like, "Ah, yeah." When I would go shopping with Jahnava, she would inevitably preach to the cashier, and if the cashier, if Jahnava happened to have a Bhagavad Gita in her purse, she also would give that to him or her, and if the cashier politely refused, she might turn to the person waiting in line behind us and offer it to her. She was so determined. And it didn't matter if there was like a long line of people behind us, she just simply focused on her mission to distribute books and preach to everybody she met. When I took her to Vrindavan for her first and only trip to India, we stayed for almost a month. It was in Krishna. He was there with us. It was the most amazing trip. She quickly became independent, and within our first week there, she was off and running by herself on a rickshaw, going all over the Holy Dham by herself. She was amazing. She was so excited and so happy to be there finally. She loved shopping at Loy Bazaar. I had to remind her that rupees were not monopoly money. They actually were real money. And she loved going on a boat down the Jamuna River. We actually had an ash immersion ceremony for her mom there. And looking back, I'm so grateful that I took the time to travel with her there. It meant so much to her, and now I will always treasure those weeks that we spent in Vrindavan. Jahnava was one of a kind. She's irreplaceable in my life. Right now, this also seems surreal. It's still surreal. And I know that next week when I reach for my phone to call her, and I realize that I can no longer do that, it'll all hit me. And we can't have those weekly chats anymore. And my dear friend is truly gone, and I don't know what I'm going to do without her, truly. When she was fighting her cancer for so long, I prayed to have more time with her, but I knew that eventually the Lord had another plan for her, and that I could not be so selfish as to think I could change His plan. After all, Jahnava eternally belongs to Him, not to us. I've been blessed to have had Jahnava in my life for the time I did, and I feel honored that she called me her friend. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So, we are here today to remember the life of our most dear mother Jahnava and to say goodbye to a wonderful devotee who was a great example for all of us. I would like to thank you all for coming here today to pray for Mother Jahnava so she can get the blessings of all the Vaishnavas present here and blessings of their Lord Shri Radha Bihari Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra and Gaur Nitai and Shri Prabhupada. So she can reach to the supreme destination, Golok Vrindavan, to continue her services there to Lord Krishna. Mother Jahnava was a great dedicated devotee who was dear to all of us. She preached by her own example. She was very humble in preaching mood. She was very instrumental for the temple support committee and was actively involved with Rath Yatra and many community outreach programs. She kept a good relationship with the people living around our temple, and around Thanksgiving she will distribute food baskets to the poor and needy in the communities. She conducted chapter a day, reading Bhagavad Gita, one chapter a day, with all other devotees for a long time in early morning on phone, and continued this practice even when she was very sick and she could not even take care of her, but still she continued taking these classes. I had great fortune to talk to her several times about her condition and visited in the hospital. She was very hopeful and was fully dependent on Lord Krishna. A few months ago, I saw her in the temple and she was smiling in spite of her advanced disease and the side effect of the chemotherapy, etc. She was not worried about her outcome as she was fully dependent on Lord's mercy. One can see that by seeing her ever-smiling face. We all are going to miss her. Her life touched so many people in the temple and around. Her humor, her kindness, her selflessness, boldness, and dedication to devotional service and the preaching will continue to inspire all of us. May Lord Radha Bihari Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra and Nitai Gaur and Shri Prabhupada bless her and give her a great destination where she can continue her devotional service to the Supreme Lord and can associate with all His devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you for being here.
So Mother Jahnava gave me the opportunity of doing her astrological chart. One time I was in my studies of Ayurveda, we had to learn a little bit of astrology, so she let me practice on her. So I just thought I would mention a few things that coincide with some of the things we've been talking about. So Jahnava was born March 17th, 1949. She is a Gemini, so her rising sign is Gemini. Now, the Lord of Gemini is Mercury. And Mercury is in the 9th house, so there's different houses that have different effects. Now this is very important because the 9th house represents Dharma, guru, spiritual life. And Mercury has to do with speech. And also seeing two sides of each issue, being a mediator. It gives one a great ability to deal with communication and deal with all kinds of people. And this was obviously Jahnava. That was like her. She was the greatest communicator. She would come up here on Sunday and just talk, introduce people who are here for the first time and just glorify devotees. And, you know, her beauty just shone through. The other thing I noticed is that, so there's this word called Atmakarka. It means that what the soul is coming into this world to do. And it's the planet that has the most degrees. And hers was Venus. And that was also in the 9th house. So Venus has to do with affection, beauty, learning, loving. And she was obviously someone who saw beauty and grace everywhere, and she also spread it. And this is a very auspicious thing to have this in the 9th house. So Jahnava has the gift of speech, and she loved to share Krishna consciousness and was always concerned about others. Sometimes she would get a little out of balance, like we all do. So in the hospital, you know, when she had surgery, they gave her steroids, right? Steroids are anti-inflammatory. Well, if you went to talk to Jahnava, then she just talked like for an hour, really fast. It was so funny. And also, what Sangeeta said, she was always giving the Bhagavad Gita to the nurses and always talking. She was just so dear. Always concerned about others. But she was also always a great speaker and mediator. So I always felt like she was kind of this balancing effect on our temple, because she could just connect with everybody, and she did it in such a lovely way. And she also was just always enlivening and new guests. And she was very lovely and beautiful. Her glowing self was always trying to spread Krishna consciousness. And I'm very glad to have known her. I feel like she's still here. I feel like her beauty and her ability to just see Krishna consciousness in everyone and to see the best in everyone is something that we can learn a lot from. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mother Dina Doya. Next, I'd like to invite Devi Prabhu to speak, and he'll be followed by Hariash.
Hare Krishna. I first met Jahnava, it was Janice, in 1978. She was Mukkunda's assistant at that time, in a small office a couple doors down from the LA Temple. And that started a very long wonderful relationship. Mukunda was very kind to me, therefore Janice was very kind to me. And we went through a lot of things. We worked together for many, many years on a variety of projects. Originally, the Traveling Rath Yatra. I worked with her, with Mukunda Maharaj on the starting, the beginnings of Food for Life. I remember working with Janice at that time, developing the Hare Krishna Food for Life logo. And Janice drove both Mukunda Maharaj and me crazy. She kept changing the design. She must have come up with 20 different designs and kept sending them back and forth. But one thing I learned and respected out of Janice was that she understood the value of Krishna consciousness. She saw that it was very valuable. And she had a very hard time for a long time in following and getting initiated and really surrendering. She always felt she wasn't good enough. And despite so many of us telling her that she was fine, that we weren't perfect either, she waited for a very long time until she took initiation. She really, somebody sent me something the other day and said that the spiritual master is pleased when the student is suffering, or struggling is the word they use, is struggling, because that means that the student is trying, that they are actively working to advance and to make progress. And I saw that in Janice for a very long time. And there was no doubting her sincerity or her willingness to put the effort in. I worked with her in the early 90s for about 8 years with the Islam Foundation in Ambarish, and she was tireless. She worked all the time. There were times dealing with it that she called me so many times, I would just answer my phone, "How I go, James?" And she worked with my staff in my office for many years who were not devotees on Rath Yatra, and she would engage them very nicely in serving Lord Jagannath. She was so sweet and so friendly and professional in dealing with people that she encouraged and engaged them in devotional service. When she came to Philadelphia, she used to come with Mukunda Maharaj in many years to visit me for Food for Life stuff, and I guess somewhere in the mid-90s. And she was always very respectful and very appreciative of our relationship and association. She gave me much more credit as far as I'm concerned. And we worked very well together in Rath Yatra for many years, and she counted on me and I counted on her. It was a very interesting partnership in terms of working through Rath Yatra. So I have no doubt that Krishna will shower his mercy on Jahnava. She deserved it. She earned it, as far as I'm concerned. And I wish her all the best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm happy to be a part of Mother Jahnava's celebration of life. I'm happy to be sitting here and of course look at Gloria and her husband. And then I can't help but laugh, because Mother Jahnava would be calling me saying, "Hard Jasper, yesterday Gloria was at the temple. Can you believe it? She was at the temple." You know, these are the kind of things that, you know, she would do. She was so full of life. And as has already been explained, such a gracious person, you know. When I think of the 50s and 60s, you hear a lot of crazy things, but there were different qualities which would manifest in people. People who had a sense of duty, loyalty. We spent time developing characters, quality, because the family unit was strong like that. God was the basis of everything, you know, and Christ was so important. That was the foundation of what happened in the 50s and 60s. And Mother Jahnava, she just reminds me of that. You know, Lord Jesus Christ was so dear to her. And that was my original preceptor too. So I let her hold back how she felt. She loved Prabhupada. She loves Krishna. But the different relationships were there in her life. The different tests were there. And somehow, you know, she became like another one of my sisters. And it was something. You know, I have to be ready to talk about anything, to go through different changes. As your sisters go through from one change in life to another, the brother has to be there. Sometimes it's not going to have the right answer. It's just about listening or giving encouragement. And I found it very easy to do that because Mother Jahnava was always trying to encourage everyone, always trying to bring us together in a united way. Most of the things that I think about Mother Jahnava, I just don't think it's appropriate to talk about, you know. We just talked about everything, or we would engage in so many things. Drona was in the car today telling me, "Hey, Harvey, remember Mother Jahnava would call you at 4 o'clock, and after about 2 hours that's 4 a.m., and after about a couple of hours on the phone, I said, Mother Jahnava, that is it. We're not going to talk any further. I'm going to do my prayers. I'm going to chant my round. You're going to call me later." And she would say, "Okay, Rayastra." She said, "I'm sorry." And then she would call me back later, and she'd be in tears. I said, "Well, what are you crying about?" She said, "Because I'm hurting you. I messed you up. I'm making your life seem so bad." I said, "Now you're going to make more time because I'm going to have to tell you that it's okay." So this is the basis of our relationship. But she was intelligent, you know. She could do so many things, multitask, and always wanted to take the extra step to do something for Prabhupada and Krishna. Always trying to make sure the devotees were happy. Couldn't wait to take the opportunity to glorify people, you know. And then she'd give me that look, "Am I going too far?" You know? But that is a dear friend. So for me, although Mother Jahnava was gone, she told me about 1.5 years ago that she was preparing like this. And she got so much better. And she's done so many things. So when she finally left, I thought, well, she's not in pain. She's not suffering. And she's been meditating on Krishna. We want the very best for everyone, but especially for those that we love and we have special affection for. So I didn't want Mother Jahnava to stay here. I wanted her to go home. I wanted her to leave this body. When I heard that she left, I was shocked for just about 10 minutes. Then I was very, very happy. I said, because my friend is getting the very best. She's getting the opportunity to go to Krishna. So for me, I just go on in life, glorifying the devotees, seeing the things that are happening here, and constantly thinking of Mother Jahnava in the middle of these different situations. But the funniest thing is, today, we were chanting, we're doing our prayers at the crematorium, and I thought, and Vishnu Kadal was chanting so nicely, drawing in the other devotees, they were there, were dancing, and I thought, Mother Jahnava must be saying, there's my guys. Look at him, look at him. And I thought like that. And that's who she is. She's a person who wants everyone to be Krishna conscious. So Gloria, I can't wait tonight to tell Mother Jahnava. Gloria and Mitch, both in the temple, being embraced by the devotees. Oh, I thank you so very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hariyashra Prabhu. Next is Mother Jagannath Priya. Mother Jagannath Priya was also one of Mother Jahnava's caretakers at the end, in addition to being one of her closest friends. For many of us, over these last couple of months, she was kind of the conduit of information that she would be able to share updates on Mother Jahnava, when you wouldn't be able to see her.
So you're going to hear some similar themes here. Jahnava was a very dear friend of mine and a wonderful person and devotee. She had so many special qualities, and one that really stood out was how she was so positive and supportive of everyone. Manju and I had a special opportunity to spend an evening with her just 2 days before she went into the hospital. And we consider this now a gift she really did give us. As we talked, she said how she really tries and likes to find something nice and encouraging to say to everyone. We all know that's true. But what makes her words so special is that she really does mean what she says. And she said that also that night. And that's why Jahnava always made us feel so good, because it was truly from her heart. She was such a caring person, and not only cared for the devotees here, but also cared deeply for her family members and other friends. I had the pleasure of getting to know Gloria and Mitch, who are here today. We've already met them. She loved and cared for them so much, and also they loved and cared for her so much, and cared for her so nicely during the difficult time of her health challenges. Jahnava was committed to service, and she had multiple services. She had a gift when she spoke and was so eloquent, which warmed everyone's hearts when she did the announcements at the Sunday feast, emceed for fundraisers, or just spoke to us. Sometimes maybe she talked a little too much, but we forgave her for that. While performing her services, she could be feisty, strong-willed, but also so much fun to be around. She did so much service before she even came to Philadelphia, which they kind of explained to us, right? But here she was a huge part of getting Rath Yatra going again in Philadelphia and sustaining it through the years, helping to start the Regional Temple Support Committee, and there were many positive contributions to the temple. And as we heard, she was the mainstay for that chapter a day, Bhagavad Gita chapter a day, every single morning, leading the call without fail, even with all the difficulties with her health. She just kept going. And during Maha cleanups, she rolled up her sleeves, and she was in there cleaning the bathrooms too. So she many services. Everything she did with such enthusiasm and tried to do it impeccably, as Srila Prabhupada would have wanted. She inspired so many new devotees coming to the temple, again with her gift for encouragement and her ability to relate to everyone. She was a natural teacher and had been a very gifted teacher before she joined us. She also used her gift for teaching to preach and distribute books. Whether it was her dentist, as we heard, her hairdresser, or anyone who happened to cross her path. And then more and more, it was her healthcare providers and transit drivers. She preached to everyone. If you walked into a room, there was one thing you would know for sure, you were going to hear about Krishna. Mitch, who's here, her brother, recounted the story to me recently, how she had given a Bhagavad Gita to one of her renowned orthopedic surgeons, who happened to be Indian, and he was so moved and said this was the most special gift he ever received. Even during this last hospital stay, when her health was really failing, she asked me to bring Rath Yatra cards in for her to distribute. A group of us were together the evening after she passed away, and we were just sharing our thoughts and special memories of her. We were talking about how much we had lost and wondering how we could keep her positive energy with us. We came up with the idea of the Jahnava challenge. So to keep her spirit alive and to fill all the holes that she has left, and she's really left a lot of holes, I'm asking myself and others to model her caring and emotional behaviors. So first, be encouraging, find good things to say to everyone and really mean it. She always forged ahead and not letting anything stop her, so if you're stuck on some issue or problem impeding your spiritual progress, face it head on and get over it. And then take some of these projects that were so dear to Jahnava, like Rath Yatra or book distribution, or find another project that inspires you, and put that same kind of energy and enthusiasm she had into it, so we can spread this movement as she and Srila Prabhupada want. So I like myself, I like everyone, including myself, to accept the Jahnava challenge. And so I'm going to help you get started here, okay? So the Jahnava challenge is, in the corner back there, I have a case of Chant and Be Happy books, and that was one of her favorite books to distribute. So when everybody leaves today, I want everybody to take a book and distribute it. It's not for you to keep. Ideally, find somebody who has not been exposed to Krishna consciousness and give it to them in honor of Jahnava. The other thing I want you to do is take the Rath Yatra cards that she was trying to distribute to the very end, take at least 10 of them and hand them out, and then come back for more, So this is just the beginning of your challenge. You need to continue it, because we've lost her. She's not doing this anymore. And let's have the best Rath Yatra this year in honor of her, too. So Jahnava loved Krishna, she loved Srila Prabhupada, and she loved all of us. And she's a very special soul. I loved her too, one of them I serve very much. Thank you. Lots of books for you in the lobby or somewhere, make sure, really.
Thank you so much, Mother Jagannath Priya. Next is Amitabh Krishna Prabhu. Amitabh Krishna was very special to Mother Jahnava. She considered him to be her son. He lives down in Maryland. It's great that you could be here with us to share this with you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for all gathering here today to glorify Mother Jahnava. It was so inspiring to hear all these offerings, and it touched me so much and brought back so many memories. We could just go on and talk about Mother Jahnava forever, but I just wanted to share a few words. Mother Jahnava was an incredible Vaishnavi and a very dear friend to all, in this congregation and beyond. I know she meant so much to so many of you, but for me, Mother Jahnava was truly a mother. She protected me, instructed me, comforted me, confided in me, and showered me with so much love, care, and affection that I could never match. She welcomed me with open arms when I first moved to Philadelphia, and stopped at nothing to make sure I felt welcome as part of this devotee family in this congregation. All who met Mother Jahnava knew her as a tenacious preacher, yet always humble and always excited to learn more and dive deeper into Krishna consciousness. She was an ardent servant of her guru, of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Krishna. Her effervescent and bubbly personality touched all who came in contact with her. It will forever be remembered. I have never met anyone quite like Mother Jahnava, nor do I think I ever will. Although we take solace in knowing that she's no longer suffering and that she has achieved a most glorious destination, we deeply mourn her loss, which has created an irreparable void in my life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai, of all the kinds of distress, what is the most painful? Sri Ramananda Rai replied, apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable unhappiness. May we all learn from Mother Jahnava's dedication to her service. She contributed in innumerable ways that everyone tried to touch, but most of us will especially recall her unrelenting commitment to making sure that Rath Yatra was a success each and every year. For months every year, Mother Jahnava would eat, sleep, and breathe Rath Yatra. On this note, I would like to end with a voicemail I found of Mother Jahnava, just to add a little bit of humor, which was part of her personality. As some may know, my voicemail box has been full for more than 5 years, I just never bothered to reset it or access the password or anything. But a couple of days ago, lying in bed, I was thinking of Mother Jahnava so much, and I was just really anxious, thinking that I'd never be able to hear her voice again, and that I never had bothered to save any of the hundreds of voicemails that she would leave me when I would answer her calls at all different times of the day and night, as other people mentioned. So I found an emergency text support number for Verizon at around midnight and begged them to please help me recover some old messages of Mother Jahnava. Here's an old one that I found that embodies Mother Jahnava's untiring enthusiasm and love for Bhakti. I don't think she would mind my sharing it.
Check.
Hi, Krishna, Mr. Krishna, this is Jahnava, Dasi, Mataji. It's about 5:01, and I'm on my way to Springfield, so give me a call. Just want to make sure that all of your postcards and posters are in your car and in your house are distributed this week. So if you have any extras, I'll meet up with you and we'll just spend a half hour and keep passing them out. So just let me know if you need my help. I'm just, as I'm driving down little streets, I'm just opening up the window and handing it to people. The fire department, they were so happy to receive them.
She said she went to the fire department.
Hi, shout out to the fire department, they were so happy to receive them. So, people are just waiting for an invitation. Thank you, Hari.
And then she went on after that, and she was just literally, when she was so excited with her, she would just see tunnel vision, whether they were receptive or not. She would think everyone was so excited to receive it. She would give them all out. When she was in the hospital at the end, she asked me she had a case of a bag full of books that were her books that she was giving out to people, and she was like, oh, I really would like to read something, but I can't because I've given away all my books. Can you bring me one of yours? And I won't promise I won't give it out. I just want to read it. So I brought it was one of the original printings of Krishna book. It was the first volume, and we brought it to her. And she was so happy to see it, but within 5 minutes she had given it away to her nurse. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Next, I'd like to invite one of Mother Jahnava's friends from back in San Diego, Mother Sundari.
I'm so happy that Richie and Gloria could come this evening. And when I first met Jahnava, she was Bhakti Janice in San Diego. I was busily engaged in serving the deities of the temple. And she came up to me and started expressing a certain sadness she was feeling, that she was so far away from her family members. And she was really struggling with the fact that she was such a long distance from her mother. And she was feeling some guilt and a little bit of a pull, like what should I be doing, because I feel like I need to be in so many places at once. And I spoke to her about this love that she had for her family members. And I could feel that love. And I encouraged her to share that love with the devotees there at the temple. And she did that. Not only did she share it with the devotees, she shared it with everyone she met. And Jahnava had a magical, for me it was kind of a maternal quality. Like you knew if you were near Jahnava that everything was okay. A contagious, maternal, just super loving quality about her. And she learned how to share that love that she felt for her family members with all of society. And that was the foundation of that love. The best thing I can say about Jahnava is that she was superlative in every way. She was superlative in her kindness, superlative in her contagious enthusiasm, superlative in the fact that she always found something wonderful to say about everyone. She did not seek fault. She did not place blame. And I felt like that was such a mature quality to be manifesting, especially as a young devotee. She was obviously filled with love that she just had to share with everyone. So I thank you for sharing your dear Jahnava with us.
Thank you, Mother Sundara. Krishna Kirtan.
Hare Krishna. I was not expecting that I'll be getting a chance to speak. Thank you so much. How much we can glorify Mother Jahnava. It's almost 15 years that I have been in association. She never wanted to hurt anyone. Throughout our meetings, what happens in meetings, she wanted to make sure everyone is happy. And it reminds me, as Devi, somebody mentioned that she took initiation late. It reminds me several years back, I'm sitting, my mother made cookies, and she didn't want to, upset her mother also. I said, oh, did she put eggs? Yeah. My mother insisted, in whole tray of cookies, I just put only one egg. I could not stop my mother. So, then I can understand that her love, of course, it changed. Just want to say how she is calculating. For to please her mother, she is willing to accept something which is minor. It's 2004 when I still remember, and I'm standing here offering obeisances to the Jagannath Baladev. She comes to me and be part of the temple service. And I said, I don't know, I'm not qualified, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, yes. And everything I have done, I can say that behind all my success was inspiration behind me. Today we can glorify hours and hours, but only we can take it that inspiration with us, that love which is the great people have set this example. This Krishna consciousness movement, see the exemplary behavior to be devotee and representing, and she has set the example for all of us to be. 2 weeks back, when I spoke to her, I said, please come, when are you coming to my home? She said that Krishna Kirtan, Mother Sangita's husband, Vaman Devi, is very severely sick. Please make sure you take care of him. And I said, yes, I will try my best. In spite, this is the symptom of a liberated person who is always worried. I have no idea she is hospitalized until Mother Jagannath Priya sent a message the night before that she is in a very bad situation. So me and my wife discussed, should we bring Mother Jagannath to our home? And we had least idea that she is going to leave this world. When I heard that, it was very painful. At the same time, as Hariyashapu mentioned, that is very pleasant that she has gone back to Krishna by setting an example for all of us. Finally, I can say that you can see from the pictures, she always loved this Ben Franklin. We had so many arguments. So to please her, this year, we must have Ben Franklin and backpack. Hare Krishna, Mother Jahnava ki.
Thank you, Krishna Kirtan. Mother Surya. I'd like to, I'm sure most of you have seen this slideshow that was put together by Yatin Patel of pictures of Mother Jahnava throughout the years. We thank him for presenting that tonight.
Hare Krishna. Like so many people have already said, Mother Jahnava was one of a kind. I don't think we meet a lot of people through our lifetimes, but I don't know that we would meet another one like her anytime soon.
I don't want to take from here because one of the great things I heard from today is many of her qualities. But one thing that struck me the most is her glorifying people. I always thought that we come here, we glorify our deities, Krishna and all, and we all talk about seeing everybody, the devotees of the Mars here. So the one thing that I always saw her is glorifying people is a way of communicating with God. And the best part for me is my way of connecting with her started doing my shuttle service as part of the Radha Yatra. I mean, for me, I didn't do much. It's a small thing I do every year for the Radha Yatra. But the way she comes and tells you is, oh man, Venkat Prabhu, you've done this excellent job. Without, as if like, if you have not done that, the whole Radha Yatra will stop. So that's the level of glory that she brings, that the level of service you do, no matter how small it is, no matter how big it is. And I thought I would share that with you all. And for me, in the rest of my life here, is to continue to cherish what she always saw, regardless of what type of work you do. Do that with passion, and that way you show as you represent as an example for the rest of the people to follow what they want to do as part of the service towards Radha Yatra, which is what inspired me to continue every year ever since I got initiated after a long time with her support in Philadelphia.
The littlest things would make Mother Jahnava happy. My mother once gave her a sari, and the very next occasion she possibly could, she put the sari on, came to my mother, thanked her, and my mother wondered, was their sari studded with diamonds? I mean, she was just, it was such, the way she thanked her for such a small thing. And I think that is the theme here today, is when she appreciated you, she didn't patronize, she genuinely made you feel happy for whatever it is you have done, even if it was a small service. My fondest memories with Mother Jahnava were our girls' nights out. I mean, they were not nights out, they were afternoons out. We would go to an ice cream shop, and ice cream with sprinkles would just make her day. And in passing, if I conveyed some worry, some comment, she would dwell on it. She would text me at night and tell me, she wouldn't give you the solution. She wouldn't say, Surya, do it this way. She would make me think, make me, push me, challenge me, and try to come up with it. And the last text was we got together for one of our birthdays, and I was, worrying about the Sunday school presentation, and she went home, she texted me, and she said, remember to breathe. We are very sorry for your loss. She is irreplaceable for us, and I'm sure that's how it is for you also. We will continue to pray, and we'll pray that you are able to get through your grief. And like Mother Jagannath Priya had said, like my husband said, we will try and do what she would have asked of us, and do whatever little service we do with all our heart. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you both. Chaitanya, speak now. After him, Mother Nitai Priya.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Her Grace Mother Jahnava. I've been coming to the temple for pretty much throughout my life, since I was 2, so about 35 years. But very rarely do you come across people like Mother Jahnava. Her presence was felt wherever she went. If she was outside, you knew Mother Jahnava was around there. Whether she was in the temple, you knew Mother Jahnava was there. But yeah, her presence was felt wherever, and in large part due to her positivity. She was very positive, very caring, very personal, always smiling. In fact, she used to share, before every Radha, she used to, be there. I remember it was usually there early on as well to help set up at the site, she would often say, as Vaishnavas, we should smile all the time. I should definitely take that to heart much more, because she was the embodiment of that smiling all the time, no matter what it was. And as strange as it may sound, coming from a 37-year-old man, her hugs were the best. Full of motherly love, and as many of you had addressed, what made things far more powerful coming from her was she meant what came out of her mouth. It just wasn't just to keep the conversation going, to make you feel better. She really meant what came out of her mouth. A couple of years ago, my wife and I came across a difficult time in our life. At that time, she had come to the hospital to meet my wife and me, one of the very few people to do that. She came with a personal card and a letter that she asked us to read later on, including a frame with a picture of Lord Krishna in it. I remember when I came back to the temple, as soon as I came into the temple after this whole ordeal, she had given me a big hug. Again, and she had mentioned that everything is part of Krishna's divine plan. She knew how to make the best of every situation. However, worse of a scenario as I thought it would be, she always had a special way to put a very positive twist to it. So whether it, as Krishna Guru said, sometimes meetings can be of a particular nature, and maybe if there's a certain disagreement or something, she always knew how to cater towards everyone. And if she had a point to mention, she always made sure that point came across. But again, in a very positive light. And even for some reason, there's some special mercy that we get from Lord Indra, where very often as it rained right before Rath Yatra, and Mother Jahnava would say, this is because Lord Indra wants to clear up the way for Lord Jagannath, this is why it's happening. So again, very positive light. I just wanted to end really quickly, and my Sanskrit's really, really bad, but for the sake of Mother Jahnava, I'll attempt to do it. I read this verse recently, so I just want to share it with all of you. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, Verse 12. Shruto nupatitho dhyata ardhyo vanu modita sadhya punati sadharmo deva vishva dhruvopihi. Translation is: pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord is spiritually so potent that simply by hearing about such transcendental service, by chanting its glories in response, by meditating on it, by respectfully and faithfully accepting it, or by praising the devotional service of others, even persons who hate the demigods and all their living beings can immediately be purified. Anyway, the reason I shared that is because I know for me personally, I'll be remembering Mother Jahnava for all of her service for many, many years to come. And definitely is a difficult void to fill in, but I think we can all try our best to have that same sense of positivity and devotional service as Mother Jahnava did. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Chaitanya. As Mother Nitai Priya comes forward, we got a message texted to us by another one of Mother Jahnava's dear friends, Mother Veena Pani. She wasn't able to be here tonight, but she serves in Tawako, which she used to serve here for many years. And she would always come down during Rath Yatra time and work very closely with Mother Jahnava. So I'd like to read it. It's short. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mother Jahnava, my dearest friend, you are very special in my life. And you are very caring, gentle, soft, sweet, and always with a smile. You are a wonderful personality. I I got the chance to associate with you for 14 years, and you will really be missed in my life. I will pray for you, and I will always keep you in my prayers at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Your servant and friend, Vinapani Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about somebody who was the most beautiful, I think. Whenever we say beautiful, we always think there must be some bodily features that makes it beautiful, right? Makes it beautiful. Maybe eyes are big, or nose is sharp, or complexion is fair. But when we talk about Mother Jahnava, the beauty was limitless. I was thinking, why do I feel her so beautiful? I mean, why she comes across so beautiful? What is this? And then I started thinking that for every child, their mother is the most beautiful. Not that every woman is beautiful, but for a child, mother is the most beautiful. And why is that? Because mother is the one who can care for you more than anyone else, right? The love of mother comes across. She is receiving your love and she's reciprocating the same love. That kind of person was Mother Jahnava. And that's why she always appeared so beautiful for everyone. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, because every one of us was touched by her love. Somewhere, somehow, she has touched your heart, and that was her beauty. Let me extend this. I'm going to say that she is the most beautiful, but I'll say that she is the most richest person. Richest person I've come across. Now you think about riches. When you see riches, what do you look for? Money? Blessings? What makes a person most richest? It's very simple. She was the richest because she had realized what value this human life had. We all took this birth. We are actually most fortunate people that we are sitting in Krishna's temple and talking about Krishna. But she was the one who had realized this value of this life. We have come through so many yonis and have become a human being right now. And we have such a short span of time where we can increase our bhakti so that we can go back to Godhead. We all are sitting here, and I'm sure Mother Jahnava is on her way. So she was the one, she took every opportunity to spread the Krishna consciousness and receive it at the same time. When recently you were talking about that she asked for the book and immediately she gave away, right? So this is how she was. She wanted to help out anyone. Anybody comes across her, and if she knows that they can get into Krishna consciousness somehow or increase their Krishna consciousness a little bit, she would become that medium. Be her books, be her cards, be her voice, be her any kind of strength that she has. She had spent it in that. And that's what, she has become a role model for all of us. That's how we should be. That's how we need to be. And that's what we should look forward to doing. So, and that is why I called her most rich person, because she had that wealth to give away. If you have jealousy in your heart, if you have bad feelings for anybody, for anything, then you cannot appreciate others like she did. Anyone, small things. Let me break it because I got into, I just want everyone to tell me if I'm looking beautiful today.
Yes.
She was the one who would look into everyone, and for me especially, I don't know, because I don't know what she would tell you. But every time I came into the temple, she would come to me and she says, "You're looking so beautiful today. And how did you wear this sari? You have to teach me." And I must have taught her 10 times. And every Janmashtami she would be standing there. "Oh, you're right." I was baking, I was busy. "Oh, you have to see how I wore sari and I'm standing here. Come. And she'll take me into the room, and then I have to pin her here, there. And she would want to wear Rajasthani sari, and then I have to make her wear sari. And very first Rath Yatra, she got a place for me. You have to teach everyone wearing sari. I'll do that. Last year, she was so sick, during the Rath Yatra. I didn't expect her to call. At very late in the night, I received the call, very low voice. And I said, "Mother." So she said, "You're the face of ISKCON." Am I? Every time she would say that. And she said that you have to be ready tomorrow. If anybody is coming and asking any question, any TV person or anybody, you should be the one answering. I said, "Yes, I'll be there." So she did not forget. This was a small seva that she'd been asking me, but everything she would remember, and then she would ask people to come forward for that. And it was such a nice way to saying that. Every time she spoke to me, I thought she would just say these things to me only. So I think everyone would share that. Everyone would have some personal thing about her. And I would like you to remember those personal things, because those are your own thing to keep. And every time you remember that, you'll be more personal in a way, because it will lead you to that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, everybody, Mother Vasaleva, come and speak. I'm going to do two things real quick before she talks. First thing, I'm going to institute the Mother Jahnava rule. So, we're going for 3 minutes. If anybody knew Mother Jahnava, she had the ability to go on and on and on and on and on and on. And we could be here to Mongol art too. So one of the things I'm going to do is we're going to stand, because sometimes when you sit, you can go on, you can see, so we're going to stand. So we're going to stand and give the talks. But we're going to honor Mother Jahnava. We're not going to cut anybody off. Everybody's going to get a chance to speak. That's what she would have wanted. And this is her night, and we're here to glorify her. Just 1 second. I do want to mention real quick that there's going to be another memorial service for Mother Jahnava on September 15th at St. Jerome Church. It's up in Northeast Philadelphia. Again, it's September 15th at 9 a.m. We're all invited to come. I'm sure that we'll have a nice showing of devotees that will come. As it gets closer, we'll be sending out messages through email. Will be posted on the bulletin board. But I just wanted to put that out there. On September 15th, we'll be having another memorial service.
Hare Krishna, brothers and sisters, daughters and sons. and all the ISKCON devotees. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, at least a couple of minutes. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Mother Jahnava is a great personality. I knew her only for several years. I didn't know her for a very, very long time. Within that short period of time, and I can share one instance that she was really meticulous about getting the title. Whoever is presenting Kirtan or anybody giving a speech or lecture, she was very particular about getting the information correctly. Because I have not seen that many people doing that, and it shows that she was a teacher who knows how to, take the information correctly and pass it on to everybody. And she's a very special kind of person, and I really admire her qualities, even though she was very sick. And she took the opportunity to ask about my husband. Ashok was very sick, she couldn't walk, and we spoke for about 2 hours. It started for 5 minutes, and then after 2 hours, in the middle of the conversation, she was talking to me how, even though I was asking her about her condition, she was so picky about asking how he was doing while he working on things like that. The one thing is, one instance I have told you about this. The second instance was, I think on a larger scale, we were all sitting at the basement. 3 of us, I think Premlata, Swarup, and me, and Mother Jahnava, we all had almost 3,000 pieces of flowers. I think it is meant for Rath Yatra. We are supposed to receive the flowers. She was the first one to come here first and get the flowers first. And then I came in next. She started cutting them and putting them in the water, hundreds of buckets. And then I am the kind of little person, I like to clean up things immediately. I don't keep any scraps or anything. And in that small quality, she was admiring me. And I said, oh my God, she's a nice, kind person to talk to. Because nobody appreciates when we are cleaning up anything, in my home or anywhere. So, but she was the first one to say, oh, but son, I should learn from you. You always clean up. Immediately, right after you cut and put everything away in garbage cans or garbage bags. So, I mean, the time I spent with her, even though it was a brief occasion, I had a wonderful time, and she's a very special person, Krishna conscious person. She's very outspoken. If she has to say anything, and she will say it. She's not afraid of anybody. And I am in like that in some instances. But she was very kind to everybody. She will say the most kind, special things about each and every one of us. So that is a very special quality. I think she's a great Vaishnava woman. Great lady, from my perspective, she's a great lady, great Vaishnava. She knew how to communicate with others, say the right thing, and make everyone happy. So I want Krishna to be with her, and Srila Prabhupada I'm sure she was with her all the time before her death. Even her soul will continue to progress where Krishna is. And I express my condolences to the whole family, our sister and brother-in-law. So take care of yourself. Thank you very much for doing that.
Hare Krishna. Glorious Srila Prabhupada, Devotee Gauranga, and glorious Mother Jahnava for unmotivated and uninterrupted services towards their Lordship, Srila Prabhupada's movement, our Guru Maharaj, and all other devotees. So it is very sad that we lost one of the most valuable and exemplary devotees. So she was very dear to me, and we worked together, especially in Rath Yatra, for more than a decade. I was part of the communication team also, where she was mainly involved, and we together got these postcards, posters, and many other advertising materials back from India, where my brother used to design all these. So once when I called my brother, he asked me, "Who is this lady? She's been emailing me." All the communications were via email. So She used to write wonderful emails, praising my brothers, his hard work, everything. And he was so surprised. Who is this lady? I don't even know. She's talking as though I know her for past many years. So my brother used to express that. And now I really am thinking whether I need to charge for my design or not, the way she's speaking. So she touched even the heart of those people who are like thousands and thousands of miles away. The way she talked, the way she wrote emails, everything. She's one such soul who never saw any wrong things in others. She always saw only the good part, and she worked with them, she praised them always. She is best at glorification. As a close friend and senior Vaishnava, she guided me many times how to react in troublesome situations. During major festivals or events, I always wanted her to make announcements because the way she presented, it was very appealing to the public. Okay, and in detail. She can just read I used to give her the announcement scripts. Okay, she just glances over the script for a minute and then everything is in her memory. She talks more detail than I have given her. So she's such a person, and hats off to her memory power. So even when she was going through major health issues, she still had that very happy smile when she spoke with devotees. Unless you are close to Guru and Krishna, one cannot have that smile, even in those situations. She always called me on my birthday and wished me. And so whenever anybody wishes, what do you say? Thank you and same to you. I was the only person who could do that because she and my birthday are on the same day. I say thank you Mataji and same to you. But different year though. So Mother Jahnava, I really miss you very much. You'll be remembered in my heart for the rest of my life. Krishna has different plans for you. I sincerely pray to Krishna that your journey to Goloka Vrindavana be very successful. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So many of them brought up all these points about Mother Jahnava. She was always sweet to everyone. She never hurt anyone. She was affectionate to everyone. She never passed loose comments, no comments. She would always come and talk to you. She was very easy to approach, very pleasant. She was always friendly with everyone, all these Vaishnava qualities. I just wanted to bring up two things which no one raised today. One, about the initiation, someone said, she waited a long time. Obviously, she had a lot of patience. Because after 20 years, or how many years she took, she sees all these young people coming and taking 1, 2, 3, all these initiations, but she still stuck on, and she was very patient. And then when she got initiated in Potomac several years back. I really admire the courage that I wanted to share with you, because you have the initiation vows of 4 regulated principles and the 16 rounds. She had a couple of other vows. If I didn't tell this to anyone, do you know what it is? She had to read Srila Prabhupada those 3 times, 10 years. Many of them are saying, oh, this guru needs me to shave my head. I'm not taking initiation with this guru. This guru needs me to do this. I'm not going to take, you pick and choose because you have so many options. But she stuck through it. And then she would always talk to me on that subject. She'd say, Ramana, I'm studying and reading 30 pages a day. And then please keep reminding me of it. So every time I see Mother Jahnava, I'd always remind her of that. And so that is a courage I really admire, that she took that bold step with an additional vow that is very difficult for anyone to do. If you've done 3 times in 10 years, you know what it is. I took 5 years for Bhagavatam, so 1 time. So you know how difficult it is. And then also how she put up, when I talk about courage, how she put up with the body for 5 years when she was diagnosed with cancer. And unfortunately with that vow, a couple of years later she got diagnosed with cancer. So, it's very hard for her to keep up that 10 years vow. I don't think she's finished in 10 years in the initiation. But I'm sure she'll have another opportunity in the spiritual world to experience Srila Prabhupada books. How she put up with her body. I was there that morning, Friday morning, just before she left. It was very hard to see her, but she was struggling for breath. And, she had all the sound of mucus, and they were trying to remove the mucus. And then that one verse kept ringing in my head of Mukundamala Purushekarava, who said, Kafavata Pittai, Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaj. You know the verse, he says, at my time of death, I'm always going to be struggling with all the phlegm in my body, the kapha. So why don't you take me now when my throat is chanting your holy name? But then Mother Jahnava had Srila Prabhupada's tape right there. I saw it, and then continuously playing Hare Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said, this is your final exam, that you leave with listening to the holy name. So she had Srila Prabhupada's kirtan continuously going on. So I really admire all the courage she put up with and left her body successfully. Hare Krishna.
Next we'll hear from Mother Jahnava's chanting buddy, Mother Manju.
I'm not a speaker at all, but I'll still try to say something about her. She was sweetness in my heart, in my life. I will really miss her. Every morning, 4 a.m., 3:30, I don't know when, my phone will ring and we'll chant. And about 5 years ago or so, I told Mother, we have to finish chanting by 6 o'clock because from next Wednesday or whatever, chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita is going to start. And from there on, 5 years, she has never stopped taking that class. And of course, in the beginning when I was not working, I would be with her for 3, 4, I don't know how many hours because everybody came and left. But she, let's read this, let's read that. We learned so many verses together. And you know, when I started working, she would sometimes call me and say, Manju, you know, today there is nobody going to join and the music won't stop till somebody else joins. Can you just log in just so that way I can finish the Bhagavad Gita? Means it was amazing. Like Prabhupada ji read, gave class where nobody was there. She did Bhagavad Gita without any fail every day, whether somebody joined it or not. The first time I met her, it was many years ago. She would come with a notebook and would write everybody's name, phone number and all those things. So I thought maybe she's going to be a new president of the temple. This is how I, and one time, after she had leg surgery with 2 rods put in her legs, we went to meet her. And Anupam Prabhu was there too. And she was so excited seeing that for an hour or so she wouldn't stop talking. And Prabhuji said that, you know, Mother, it seems like you need to sit on the chair and I need to lie down on the bed. She's down. Means everybody had covered everything about her. I don't know if I could play the one voice message she left me when we used to do Bhagavatam class and I couldn't attend it, means chanting. I don't know if it will play or not, but I'll try.
Give me my own spiritual body. Keep me by your side and destroy all illusions related to this mortal frame. Help me realize your holy name will give me my own spiritual body. Keep me by your side and destroy all illusions related to this mortal frame. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
She was really very good in chanting with concentration, and after every round she would read something of this sort to focus the concentration. Everybody has covered everything. I really miss her greatly because not only we lost a great person, but my chanting buddy. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Dr. Greg, and then we'll have Rajiv. Both of them are doing Mother Jahnava through the early morning Bhagavad Gita program. Then we'll have a music presentation by Dr. Ed.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. I feel fortunate to have known Jahnava. I also feel fortunate that I can say that I remember our first conversation and I can remember our last conversation. And you don't always necessarily get to say that about someone. So our first conversation was about 3 years ago next month. I just started coming to the temple. I didn't really know anybody. And I was kind of testing the waters, coming a day here, a day there. And I came on maybe a random Thursday or something. And she saw me out in the lobby. She started talking to me. She's like, oh, asked me about what I was reading. I was like, well, I'm finished with Bhagavad Gita. And she looks at me and goes, you're never finished with Bhagavad Gita. And I went, oh, okay. And then she said, well, speaking of Bhagavad Gita, and she told me about the chapter a day phone call. She basically made me like, here, take down the information. I pulled up the notepad on my phone because nobody carries, pencil, paper anywhere, everything's on the phone. So I took down the information and, I didn't call in right away. And then maybe about 6 months later, I felt compelled on the weekend to call in. So this was, maybe a little over 2 years ago. And on the weekends, there wouldn't be many of us on there. And, I'd try to be on every weekend. And, she was just so inspiring always. And like everybody said, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Like, I never heard her say anything negative. I don't know if I can say that about most people. She never said anything negative. She was so encouraging to me. I would, butcher the Sanskrit in reading. And she was super encouraging. And if I had a realization or a question, she never made me feel like oh, how could you ask that? Like, you should know this or whatever. And eventually got to the point where, when she was sick, got sick, and it would just be on weekends, it was just her and myself. So in hindsight, I think what a nice opportunity that I got to have all this time with her on the weekends, just her and I learning so much from her. And, towards the end, it seemed like she was on every weekend, and then all of a sudden she would message me on Friday and say, Dr. Greg, I'm sorry, I'm really not feeling up to being on the call this weekend. If you could, read on your own, and we'll reconvene next week. So that happened a couple times, and I kept thinking, oh, she'll come back. And then one day I was here on a Thursday night for Prabhupada Leonarita, and my phone starts buzzing, and normally I would just, silence it. And I saw it was Jahnava, and I went, and something told me, I better not ignore this. I'm gonna take the call. So I stood up and I went out there. Well, it turns out she didn't mean to dial, and she said, well, I hear her talking in the background, and she says, oh, Dr. Greg, well, thank you for calling me. And I said, you called me? And she goes, oh, they have a name for that actually when that happens, but we won't say what it is. And I chuckled. We talked a little bit, and she sounded, very tired. She said, I won't be on this weekend, but, I'm getting some testing done, and, I hope to be back. And, unfortunately, as we all know, that wasn't the case, but I just felt I'm so glad that I took that phone call to speak to her again, because I can't imagine if I would have just, not taken it. So I feel just really thankful, and she always spoke so highly of Gloria and Mitch. She would always talk about you guys and had such love. She was just awesome. She was just such an influence to me and super inspiring. And I will miss her greatly. So thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I was part of Mother Jahnava's chapter a day class. I was one of the students, and I was initially, not very enthusiastic. I was just taking it very easy, and then I got introduced to Mother Jahnava's very tenacious teaching style and telling me how to pronounce Sanskrit in proper way, which note, how not to do it, what to do, what not to do. And I've always found she was like, I was giving the, comparison. When a satellite is released, to escape Earth's gravitational pull, it needs little, a great strength. So she was like that, like rocket booster who would, make a lot of people with a spiritual trend come out of the material shell. I found that very encouraging. She was very positive in the little thing. I think so many people have elaborated. She was very positive. She would smallest of thing, she would, Manju Mataji, and we used to be on the conference call, and she would encourage that, and then we would go into the purpose, and then that would open up a Pandora's box. We would go on, and it wasn't one-sided. At times we would go multi-way conversation, and our intellectual juices will be flowing. We were like, wow, we were really talking. So that was very encouraging. And I did, a few weeks back, I was just kind of randomly thinking who all I could be thankful for. And I could only think of her name. And I did send a text message saying, thank you for planting the seed. Because I couldn't think of anybody else who I'll be really grateful for, without, any ounce of insincerity. I was like, okay, this person I owe it, I did thank you very much. And if I'm not mistaken, she will call me and we have a little conversation. So I will carry that thoughts and gratitude for my entire life. And I feel sorry for your loss, and I'm sure she will take care of it. Thank you.
Dr. Ed has prepared a song he wrote for Mother Jahnava.
I wanted to thank everyone for your kind words and having us here, because it's greatly appreciated. So thank you so much.
This will be the last appreciation for the night.
I can never thank Jahnava enough for everything. A couple of quick little things I wanted to say was that Jahnava was great at doing announcements, as you all know, and she had a voice that was very loud. And there were times when I first met her about 14 years ago, she said to me, "Oh, okay, could you just make some of the microphones loud enough for me? Can I speak?" I said, "Okay, sure." She would get up to the microphone and be, "Okay, everybody, Hare Krishna." I'd immediately turn it down just enough so it wouldn't hurt anybody and nobody's ears would bleed. And eventually it was almost not even on, but she was like, "Okay, everybody, we have," and everybody gave her, she would turn to me afterwards and she, "That sound all right? Do you think anybody heard me?" She and I had a running joke with each other. I'm on a slow train back to Godhead, but I know my direction. And she and I always had this running joke about a slow initiation, that she took so long to take initiation. She and I were on the same train, but she got initiation first. And my dear wife Wendy and I, we're married now, but we had some difficulty just before we got married. And unfortunately, we had to postpone the wedding, and unfortunately, all of you couldn't come, and I'm sorry about that. But during that difficult time, Jahnava and a few other sweet devotees here and now really helped us. And if it wasn't for Jahnava, she introduced Wendy and I, Shri and I. And if it wasn't for her and her sweet patience in getting us back together, I don't know if I'd be here right now. She was really kind. So last Thursday, the day of her passing, we had a kirtan for her. And it was a really sweet kirtan. And Ramana spoke a little bit. And after I went home that night, I was just kind of really inspired because he kept saying, she always had that smile on her face. And it was just magnificent. Everybody knows that smile. So that line was the inspiration for this tune. I'm not the greatest singer like many other people here, so please forgive me. She always had that smile on her face, the kind word or warm embrace. When she correct, there'd be no shame. She'd soothe the fears and say, go on again. My sweet counsel to love Hari. Now there's a hard rain, soothing tears when you're past the pain, my friend. Everything comes this day, just a day like any other day. Sun to rise and then set again. Her mind fixed on you, our sweet blue friend. She always had that smile on her face, a kind word or a warm embrace. When she could correct, there'd be no shame. She'd soothe the fears and say, go on again, my friend. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, John.
This is a really beautiful night. I could go on all night. But I know that it has to come to an end at some point. We still have another part of it. Yeah, the whole dinner that's been prepared. Mother Jahnava's favorite dishes. We want everybody to enjoy them. It's Mother Jahnava. I just want to end with this. Actually, it's going to be hard. Deep breaths, deep breaths. One more. She is my soul sister. I really mean it. She's my soul sister. Some people you have in life where you just feel you're so connected to them. She was that for me. She saw the possibility, the potential in me as well as many of you that you've spoken about. Even when it wasn't there, she saw the good, she saw the potential, she saw the opportunity. That is the best quality. And the void that she left in this community with her leaving, in one sense it can't be filled, but it can be filled if we take those qualities that we've talked about tonight and then we become them. That's how a person lives on. They live on through the impressions that they left with us. And that's how we continue to grow. She will never be forgotten. And and it just won't be the remembrances of her. It'll be the way she's changed each and every one of us. We all become better because of her. And whether it's the person in the fire station who received the card, who goes home and tells his wife, what a wonderful person he met today, or the hairdresser who tells her boyfriend, or the dentist and talks to the other patients about her, or the chiropractor, or the person on the street it's not just those people that she's influenced the people that they go on and tell. I mean, her legacy is going to continue to grow and grow. I believe she still has more service to do here. And we're going to see that unfold, I believe, as time goes on. It was a beautiful night to honor a wonderful, beautiful soul. And I'm happy we've all been able to share this together. We're going to now bring out the dinner, the prasadam, and as we clear a way for that, we're going to have a little bit more kirtan as they're preparing. And in this kirtan, this last remembrance, let's really keep Mother Jahnava in our consciousness. So we're going to serve out the prasadam when it's ready, then we can get in line. Thank you all. Mother Jahnava ki.
Hare Krishna. Please leave the right side of this space so that we can sit at the table. And please come forward and offer little flowers to Mother Jahnava as well. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, am I? Because people are going to keep walking.
Dasi ki, Jahnava Devi Dasi ki, Jahnava Devi Dasi ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki. Tiger Prema.
Is this still on?
Hare Krishna. One quick announcement, Hare Krishna. Many times, several devotees has expressed the desire to serve in any way. There is a plate, Janachari who is holding a thali. If you would like to contribute to Mother Jahnava's ceremony,